Hi everyone. This week we're going to cover data manipulation commands in Linux. These commands are very important because often when we are creating a solution, writing a program, we have got to process lots of input data. Typically that input data will come from files, which may come from various different locations. So a lot of the time we have to take that input data and actually do some pre-processing before we can then use it as input data to our program. So for instance, we may need to pick records out of files. We may need to sort files in a particular order that our program is expecting it to be in. We may need to extract particular items from the files. So pre-processing the files is really important, and there's some really useful commands in Linux to help us do that. So let's go and have a look at some of them. Okay. So I'm just going to start off the Debian. So just the usual, go into my C drive and launch the VirtualBox. Good to have a wee reminder of how this is done. So the different commands we're going to look at we're going to look at commands on how to look at some analysis of the files, or the data within the files, so some statistics on the data content. We're also going to look at how to sort the files into order, and we're going to look at how to search for items in the file, and we're also going to look at how to join files together, because as I said, quite often you could have multiple files coming from different sites that you have to then combine into one single input file. Okay, I'm just going to log in as myself. Just get rid of that message. Okay, so I'm going to go into check where I am just now, pwd. So I'm in my home directory. So from previous demos that we did last week, I've already got some files in here. So I'm going to demonstrate one of the more useful analysis commands. So the analysis commands are really just for getting some statistical information about your files, about your input data. So the most popular one that is pretty handy is the WC command, which generally stands for word count, but you can do more than count words with it. So the WC command, you simply use that with one argument, which is the name of the file that you want the statistics for. So I'm going to just use it on my bank app file. So when I hit return, you'll see it gives me back some information. It gives me back three figures: 8, 36, 206, and then the name of the file. 8 is the number of lines in the file, 36 is the number of words in the file, and 206 is the number of characters. So all that's pretty useful. For instance, if you were wanting to quickly take a look at a file of data and you wanted to know how many records were in the file, typically each record is stored on a separate line. So you could use WC, and if you're only interested in lines, you can use an option, -L, which just means it'll give you the lines, and then the name of the file, and it comes back and tells you. I'll just move this over so you guys can see it on my screen, hopefully. Shift that over a wee bit. Not letting me move it, so hopefully you can see just at the edge of the screen there it says 8 and then bankapp.cpp. So it lets me know there's 8 lines in the file, which normally would equate to there being 8 records. So it's pretty useful just to do some wee quick stats checks on your files that you're potentially going to manipulate for your input to your program. Okay, let's move on to the sort. This is a really flexible command that allows you to order files using lots of different options, because it is fully configurable. If you want the full data, remember the man pages. So we can do a man and then the name of the command, which is just sort, and then you can see there's like pages and pages, all the different options. We're going to explore some of these options, some of these features that we're going to turn on, that are the most common ones. You can see there's a whole host of them, and there's a big description on how to use the command. So we'll just focus on the most important areas that will be of value to you. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I'm going to create a quick file with a list of surnames, forenames and ages, and then we can use that file to do some sorting. So I thought I would just create this live in the video, just as a reminder of some of the commands we used last week. So remember, the cat command basically means concatenate and send something out to the screen, and we used it last week by creating it, using it to create a file. So instead of putting anything we type in out to the screen, we're redirecting it using the wee greater than symbol. That's the redirection symbol we talked about last week. So it's going to redirect anything we type onto the screen into a file. And I'm just going to call the file names.txt. So remember, it comes back not with the prompt, but just with the cursor. So this is when we can start typing in the information we want to go into the file. So I'm just going to put in a small selection of, deliberately out of order, names and ages. Okay, just 2 minutes. And these are the same as the examples deliberately that are in the slides. So I'm showing you how to create the file so that if you do want to actually go through and run all the stuff, you can do it by following this video. So you could be doing this alongside me. Remember, when you're finished your last bit of input data, Control D. Okay, and Control D says I'm finished, I don't want to type anymore, and it shuts the file. If you want to just check if it's there, you can see ls, and you can see there's a names.txt at April the 18th at 11 minutes past 4. So we've now got the file. So the sort command. Sort can be used simply with just the file. So sort command and then the name of the file. This is a default usage of the command, which will basically order the file based on the first field, the first letter in the first field. So before I do that, actually, let me just explain fields. So let's have a look at this file again. So remember, again, we used the more command last week. So if I do more names.txt to see what's in the file, there we go, there's the contents of the file. So each line is referred to as a record in Linux. Each field is by default space separated. So if you look at the first line, first record, you would have 3 fields. You would have Glover as the first field, then Thomas, and then 37. Now you can change the field separator, that is an option. So if, for instance, you get a file from another program or from another location and the data is comma separated, then you can set that up using the sort command as well. So sort actually has, as you saw, lots of different features, options you can turn on, and one of them is the field separator, which is -t. So you can use -t and then specify what the actual separator is. So if it's a comma, you can put in a comma. I'm just leaving it as a default, which is a space. It's just so you're aware that you can use it on CSV files or any way the data is separated. Okay, so as I've just said, each line is a record, and each field, in this case, there's 3 fields for each record. The fields are numbered behind the scenes, and unlike most computing things, it actually numbers from 1, which is a bit annoying when we're used to numbering things from 0, but that's the way it is. So Glover would be field 1, Thomas field 2, and 37 would be field 3. Okay, so as I said, by default, it will sort using the first character in the first field. So if I just run the command sort names.txt, hit return, you'll see that it's ordered it by the first character in the first field. So by default, that is the surnames. Now, what to be aware of is it doesn't change the original file. So if I go back and have a look at the original file, you'll see it's unchanged. The output of the sort just comes out to the screen. So if you want to save that output, then what you can do is you can use the -o option. So you can turn on the output feature, and that allows you to send it out to a file. So you need to then provide a file name. So I could provide result.txt. That says sort names.txt, and whatever the output is, put it into this other file. So you'll notice it doesn't come out to the screen anymore. And if I want to have a wee look in that file, more result.txt, and there it is. Okay, So that's the basic usage of it, which in some circumstances might be sufficient, but quite often you'll probably find that you don't want to sort by the first field. You might have other fields that you want to sort by. So we can actually do that. You can specify which field. So let's say we want to sort by the forename. So to specify which field, we call the field you want to sort by, we call that the key. So that's options -k. So that says, instead of just sorting by the first field, I want to sort by a different key. So then you have to provide the number of the field. So for the forename, it's field number 2. So I would do sort by the second field, and then again, you still need the name of the actual file you're sorting. So this time you'll see it sorted it by forename. So that's a really good option to know how to do that, because more often than not, you don't always have your sort data in the first field. Okay, so let's go for it and also sort it by the third field just to complete the process. So now I'm sorting by the age. Now, what I want to do is actually move on to a different file, because I want to show you something that is a bit of an issue when we're sorting by numbers. It's not obvious in this example, so I'm going to move on to a different file to show you what I want to discuss. So I've actually already created, I'm just going to clear the screen, tidy it up a wee bit. I've created another file. So now I'm off the screen, a second. 2 seconds. Where are we going? There we are. Right, I'm just going to, yeah, so I've cleared the screen. I'm not going to do that again because it will disappear. So I'm going to show you another file I've already created. So instead of using more, I'm going to use the cat command that we discussed last week, because I can also say cat and then the name of a file, which is called names2, and that will display the contents of the file to the screen. So it's another file with surname, forename and ages. So again, 3 fields. So I'm going to use sort, and I'm going to this time sort by the third field, which is the age. So names2.text. So by default, you would expect, having a quick glance at the data on the screen, that Fiona Davies would be at the top and Robert Williams would be at the bottom, because it's sorting by age. Right, now this is interesting. This is the issue I was telling you about. You'll see that Fiona Davies is actually at the bottom. All the other numbers appear to be sorted, but she's at the bottom. Why is this? Well, it's because each field is treated as an alphanumeric. So basically what it does is it goes along, and as soon as it gets to field 3, it looks at the first character and sorts by the first character. So if you look at the first character, although we know it's a number, the Linux is treating them as 2 characters. So for instance, Charles Anderson, the third field has got 2 characters. The first one's 2 and the second one's 7. So it would sort by the first character, the first number. So that's why obviously Fiona Davies having 8, that's a higher value than all the other first characters, because other first characters are 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's why she appears at the end. So to fix this, remember to repeat a command, use your up arrow, save you lots of typing. To fix this, we add in another option, which is the N option. And N means sort it numerically, not alphanumerically. So now you'll see, if I scroll down, you'll see that it's correctly sorted. So that's something that might trip you up. So just remember that if you're sorting by numbers, to stick that -N in there. Okay, so let's see what we're going to move on to now. Let's say that we have got, we want to do a sort, and we decide to sort by, let's say we decide to sort by the surname. Okay, so let's do a sort. So the surname is the first field, which is the default anyway, but we'll put it in. So -K for key to sort on, and we're going to sort by the first field. Now, what you should notice is, in this file, there's 2 names. I've got the same surname. There's Kenneth Robertson. Oh, I've spelled it wrong though. I'll need to fix that. There's Kenneth Robertson and there's Margaret Robertson. So let me just quickly fix that spelling. 2 seconds. names2.txt. Okay. This is giving you a wee sneaky peek into the editor. So now we should be spelled the same. Robertson, yeah, there we go. Okay, you'll learn more about the editor in a few weeks' time. Okay, so interestingly, and this is good this has happened, so I can show you this. You'll notice that the names2.txt file, I created it earlier on when I was logged in as root. And if you look at the permissions on it, it's got read and write for root and only read for everyone else. So I'm now logged in as Dawn Wilson, so it's not let me actually overwrite that file. So what it's done is it's created a new file called 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the permission on the file. Now I need to be root to do that. So I'm just going to log out. And this is all good learning for you guys to see the things that go on. Of course, my screen's so big. Right, I'm going to log back in as root because I can't change the permission of a file that I don't own. Okay, so that's why I'm doing that. So I'm going to say change permission, and I'm just going to give it read, write, execute for everyone. So remember, reads 4, writes 2, executes 1, so that's 7. So I'm just going to give everybody full access to this file. So the file is in /home. Remember, you can use your double escape. Hit escape twice and it will autocomplete for you. And it was names2.txt. Okay, so now if I exit, log out, and I'll go back in again as Dawn Wilson. Okay, and then names2.txt, you'll see it's turned green because I've made it executable as well, which it isn't, it's just a text file. I didn't need to do that, but I just did it for speed's sake. So now I can actually update this file. And again, as I said, I'm just using the editor, which you've not learned yet, so don't worry, you'll get to learn this. I'll teach you this in a few weeks' time. So I'm just going to go back up, all just to fix a spelling mistake. Okay, so this time you've seen it's let me overwrite it. Okay, so now if I just do a cat on names2.txt, you'll see that Robertson is now spelled correctly for both of them. So anyway, back to the point I was going to make, that I'm going to sort on a fields, so the surname field, and there are 2 records that have got the same surname. So what happens? So what happens is you'll see what it does is it actually, if the field it's sorting on is identical, it will move on to the next field beside it and use that as the key to sort on. So because the first field for Robertson was identical, then it moved on and it looked at Kenneth and Margaret and used the forename to sort. That's the default behaviour. You can actually specify how you want it to sort and in what order you want it to do the sort. So you can specify more than one key and it will do each key in order. So for instance, I could say sort on the 3rd field, which is the age, hence the reason why I've put in the N to make it numeric. And if there's any ages that are identical, which there is, you'll see there's Christine and Thomas have got both 37. Then if both the ages are identical, then I want it to then go and sort by the 2nd field, so the forename. So initially it will sort by age, and if the age is the same, it will sort based on the forename. And you can specify obviously as many keys as you want based on having those number of fields. So with this command, the primary key, so the first key it's going to try the sort by, is the 3rd field, and the secondary key is the forename. Okay, so you'll see that when it gets to the ages that are the same, so Christine and Thomas, then it's sorted then by the forename, so Christine comes before Thomas. So hopefully that shows you how flexible this command is. You can do a whole host of stuff with it. And I've only just shown you touched the surface of what can be done. So you can look at the man pages, have a wee play around with it. And the next thing we're going to move on is we're going to go ahead next and look at picking particular items out of files. So sometimes you don't always want every bit of data in the file. You maybe only want to look for particular records. So that will come up in the next video.